it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it.
And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it. Ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it. It's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it.
And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it.
And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it. Ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it. A comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it, get it, get it. Comma and a comma, gotta get it, get it. And it's a ticket, talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma, gotta get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it. And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. I'm a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it. Comma and a comma. Gotta get it.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Head to Head with Brian Parker. I am, in fact, he. And we are back for another week of a bunch of foolishness and conversation. Not necessarily in that order. Anyway, we are streaming live on Facebook, LinkedIn, as well as YouTube. If you are on YouTube, please go to Empower TV Network and make sure that you share, like, and most importantly, subscribe. That way you get all the great information and notifications about anything that we post to our site. And if you are actually interested in joining our band of characters, we would love to have you. Just send us a message at theparkermedia@gmail.com. That is the word THE Parker Media @gmail.com. Well, I do see that we have some of our furry little friends here today, and may end up with one other. So we will see if he is able to join. But first and foremost, let's say hello to our cast of characters, starting with Lolo. How you doing?
How you doing?
Good to see you. Haven't seen you all week.
I appreciate that I'm coming to you with a lovely tan.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. And let's also say hello to the man, let's say the host of Elephants Exposed, Mr. T and TBS himself, Mr. CJ Jones. How you doing, sir?
Konnichiwa.
Now we're bringing up some Japanese. Okay.
And a zoo to you too, you know. Or as my people in Mazda like to say, zoom, baby.
Or you can sit there and go back for Rex and Effect. Zoom, boom.
Yeah.
Hey, she was on beat. Very good, Lori. Very good.
Yeah. You guys were missed. I didn't know that you guys had did your sneaky vacation, but thank you for sharing the pictures. Y'all look beautiful, man. Y'all look rested and everything. So let's jump back into this shenanigans.
Yeah. That's what the Turks and the DR and the Bahamas will do to you. So we definitely had a good time away last week on vacation with our friends who were celebrating some anniversaries.
Oh,
and they invited us to go with them. 20 years at that. So
wow.
You know, anybody dumb enough to be with somebody for 20 years, you got to go with them and see. No, I'm just kidding.
No,
Lori, I'm sure we'll make it to 19 and a half.
I say they broken. I'm definitely broken.
Well, I'm going to say this, and Brian tells me this every year. He renews my contract every year, so it's always under consideration. So,
I mean, it's free agency, you know.
Man.
Got to keep my options open. I mean, right before the trade deadline comes up, I got to figure out if I'm going to keep you or if there's another free agent out there that I'm going to go after. So,
hey, you know what? Y'all kind of reminded me of like how the military does at least the enlisted. Mm-hmm. I haven't witnessed officers do this, but I've seen the enlisted do this quite often. What they'll do is that they'll make sure that you're going to re-up, right, or re-enlist.
Yeah.
So you have about 5 minutes that you are officially discharged from the military. But then within that 5 minutes, you are allotted to talk and act and do everything you want to do as a full-blown civilian. But next thing you know, they got the re-enlistment papers right in front of you, being like, okay, sweat yourself back in. And now it's you just continue on with your enlistment.
So there's a point where you literally your toe is out but it's only for a very, very small amount of time.
Because you have to re-enlist.
Wow.
It's
I'm
about
going to say
5 minutes.
I'm going to say this, CJ, that in the Parker household is way longer. I'm going to say, and again, I can't speak for Mr. Parker, but I'm going to sit there and say he does this reconsideration thing over a couple of months. But
Oh,
he reminded me about
I love your cup.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
He does it he does it. He reminds me all the time, like he has a choice. So
Oh yeah,
that's what he tells me all the time.
See, CJ, that keeps the complacency from setting in. They know that at any given time, if your performance, it's like being at a job, CJ.
Right.
You know, you have yearly reviews, right?
Right.
And that whole year in between, your performance is being watched. And if there's a dip in your performance, if you make it to the review, it can affect whether you get a raise. Right. But if it's really bad, you might not even make it to the review.
Oh, wow.
But they might bring you into the office on Friday and say, hey, come here for a second. Let me talk to you a minute.
Let me holler at you.
I know you've been having problems logging in, and I want to explain to you why that is. We terminated all your credentials. That's why it keeps bouncing you back out. Now, the reason we terminated all your credentials is because we want all your equipment back because it's not yours anymore.
Here's a box.
Okay. That's what Brian does.
At least we got a whole week of work out of you.
Right.
Well, that's what Brian does. But I can't. He can only speak for himself. But that's just not me. But
not at all.
No.
Oh well, everybody can't be like that, Lori. But somebody got to. But anyway, yes, we had a good time. But glad to be back. It's always hard, especially when you're gone over 7 days, to come back and then try to bounce back into routine and everything else like that and stuff like that. But I think we've gotten our sea legs back, so to speak, and finally off that damn boat. I will say this. I had sworn myself off of cruises for the simple fact that the laborious task of getting on and off the boat kind of dissuaded me from all of the fun things that you could do while you're on the boat. Like every time you go to a port, everybody trying to get off and go do this and go do that. It was an utter madhouse the last time I went on a cruise. And I told Lori for that very fact, I would never want to do it again. And I wasn't going to do it again until our friends asked us to come with them. And I'm glad that they did, because this time it was so easy to get on and off that boat, whether it was from the initial getting on or getting off or the ports in between. It was so easy. And then the craziest thing is that we have Parkers up in Maryland that they're a big clan up there. They decided to take a cruise out of Baltimore, and it was going to the same places that we went, and we had no idea that they were on that boat.
Wow.
Literally sailing beside us.
Yeah, literally. So when we parked into the port, we're on one side of the pier, they're on the other side, literally right beside each other. And my cousin sends me a message and says, Brian, we're on the Legend. Y'all on the Spirit? I'm like, yeah, we're right next to each other. So like my uncle, my aunt, my cousins.
Oh, wow. That's funny.
They're in Grand Turk. They're in Dominican Republic, just like we are. So we actually did get an opportunity at the end of our excursion in Dominican Republic to see them before we all had to jump on our boats.
That's cool. That is so cool.
Now,
as your brother, and by me being of nautical knowledge, I'm going to help my brother out with a couple of terms here, sir.
Okay.
But you were boarded on.
But I will speak up for Brian. He was good on his nautical terms on the boat.
What you were boarded on, sir, was not a boat. A boat was those little things that hung off the ship or the vessel that you were on. And to talk to anybody that sails, that's an insult. So.
Okay. Well, I was using my nautical terms on the boat, like aft, forward, port, starboard.
Yes, port
I was
side.
using all of that, and they looking at me like, "Where the hell that at?" I said, back, right, back, left, front, right. And they looking at me like, why don't you just say that? And I'm like, because it's so much better.
Were you talking
say
to the
Barbara
employees or were you just trying to impress people?
Huh?
I said, were you talking to the employees or were you just trying to impress people?
Not employees, just, the regular gang that I was there with.
Oh, no wonder.
Oh, yeah, including that one. Yeah. So they looking at me like, what? Come on.
Because every
Did you
time,
find out
depending
what-
on where we
Lori,
were, it was like aft.
knots.
Lori,
forward,
did you
back.
find out Lori, did you find out what the bulkhead was?
No.
Yeah, Lord, be careful with that question because he ain't talking about what you think about. He ain't talking about that kind of bulkhead, baby.
Bulkhead is a wall, but I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I was just testing you. I was just.
Lori, think about another bulkhead. Lori, don't bring that up. That's for after hour show.
Listen.
Look.
At
No,
this
that's
point,
no. See, that's below decks. We ain't talking about stuff like that.
It was bulkhead deep.
Anyway,
all I have to say is, and Brian will probably talk about this, that I am directionally challenged. So on the boat, on the cruise ship, trying to get around, I was always turning around and going this one. He was like, Lori, forward. We're in the back of the boat. Aft. It was just kind of all over the place. So I appreciated having Brian there because he was,
I didn't realize I was gonna have to be the GPS, but I was.
Yes,
well,
he was.
I put it like this: when you're navigating through a ship or anything that's large like that, it's just like finding your home address in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
The larger the numbers are, the further aft you're going, or
after
further
6
back
days, bro. Come on.
Okay.
Jesus, get with it, bro.
Or and vice versa. Or if you're looking at odd numbers, what side of the ship are you on, Brian? If it's odd numbers,
we're on the right.
And if it's even numbers, you are
on the left. Mm-hmm.
There you go.
That's it.
So that's what. But when Brian was saying about going on cruise on a cruise again, getting on and off was much easier this time around. The only thing, and it's still what I can think of, is I want to be on my own time and be able to do more local things and not be on the ship's time.
Yeah.
Where you get there at 8
o'clock
or 11, and we gotta be back on the boat before we get left.
Yeah, you gotta just hang out and go as you want and please and stuff. Right. But I will say that we got it in. We got to do some really fun things. And let me see. Did somebody drop a comment? Anthony, hope you didn't do what I did, eat all you can eat, then 2 days later in the bed crying seasick. No, we were really measured with eating. It was great that they had so many different options. We have the dining in the evening where you can go for the more formal food and stuff like that. And then during the day, you could go over to Guy, how you say it? Guy Fieri's little burger joint that he has on the boats.
Oh, okay.
Or you could just go get different kinds of things like seafood and
tacos,
tacos and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of good variety of food that you could eat all day long. I had more ice cream cones than I ever should have. But
it is 24 hours. I saw all day and all night. You can get ice cream whenever you want.
Yeah, I saw most people's meals come in the form of mixed drinks and stuff like that. So,
oh yeah.
That was very interesting.
That is definitely one way to
the bars did not lack for patrons at all. So it was good. A lot of good shows, comedy shows, dance shows.
Oh, congratulations on you winning the karaoke. I'm not surprised.
Bro, the craziest thing about me winning the karaoke contest was the fact that, and this is no joke, and it's even funny for me to even bring it up. I couldn't go anywhere on that boat without people knowing who the hell I was.
We actually really needed to get a button. I need to get a button made for Brian on the next cruise to be like, I am ... the karaoke guy. Because everyone would stop and say, hey, aren't you Brian, the karaoke guy? Aren't you this one? I heard you singing. Oh my gosh. He would get claps in the buffet.
Oh.
I knew his name.
So how many songs did you sing? Did you sing one, or like you had to go, like you had to win it by levels, or what?
So I did karaoke a couple of nights. And then on, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday, I can't remember which one, they actually had a sign up for a contest. And I'd already been there for a couple of hours. We were just doing the regular rounds where everybody could sing. And then they needed 8 people to sign up for the contest. So 8 of us got up in front of everybody, decided what song we were going to sing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even remember what song I went with.
You did Usher.
No. I did Uptown Funk by Bruno Mars.
Yes, and that's right. You did with more showmanship.
Well, no. I did that song first, and then they went by audience response for a round of applause. And me and another girl got the most responses back from the audience. So then they started shouting out, sing off. And he was like, okay, I think we got time to do a sing off. So then I had to pick another song, which was Usher's Nice and Slow. And she picked another song too. And I realized early on that if I was going to win this thing, it was really going to have to come down. I got to post it actually.
Okay.
But if I was going to do this thing, it couldn't just be me singing the song. I was going to have to do a little gyrations and showmanship with it.
Right.
Because it's nice and slow. So I had to kind of contort my body a little bit and get into it.
And he did add some extra lyric, and
some ad libs and stuff like that,
Okay.
Yeah, I got a little freaky deaky.
Yeah, you had to put a little seasoning on that, huh?
He sprinkled it with his own name instead of doing the USHER. He did the BRIANPAR. Did the whole thing. Everybody was screaming and yelling on to this one. That's why everybody knew him on the boat, talking about, hey, you're Brian. You're the karaoke guy. Hey, he would get claps.
I'm in the casino and this dude comes up to me and says, BRIAN. I'm like, oh my God, I can't even get in the casino.
That's what's up, man.
Funny. It was funny. But,
that's what's up. I like that.
And even when we were on our zip line excursion, I'm going up I'm trying to focus on going up this tree on this ladder. And the guy turns around and says, hey, are you the world famous Brian? And I'm like, really? We doing this right here?
Right here.
I'm afraid of heights as it is. So like, we really gonna do this right here?
So you zip lined.
I zip lined. We went through some waterfalls, sliding down waterfalls into deep caverns of water and stuff like that. 40-minute hikes, and it was nuts. Yeah, that was one. And then I think we did another one where we were on the catamaran, and some folks got out and did some snorkeling. I did not do that. But then karaoke Brian, after we got back from the beach on the catamaran, the DJ was playing More Money, More Problems with Biggie, Mace, and Puffy. And Puff's part comes, and I'm sitting there just rapping along and stuff. He hands me the mic
on the catamaran, and everybody's jamming to Brian as he takes the mic. I told you, everybody knew Brian.
Man.
So then I started going, I'm the D to the A to the DDY. I know you'd rather see me die than to see me fly. I call all the shots. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, oh my God. Like, I can't stop. Won't stop. But anyway.
I'm stupid. You stupid. I thought I told you that we won't stop. I thought I told you that we won't stop. What?
Bad boy.
Bad boy.
But we had a good old time. But that was something else.
Man. That was nice, man.
Yeah, so we're because it was 4 of us, 4 different families.
Wow.
We had an Airbnb in Miami the night before, and then we went to the port and everything. So all 8 of us are already talking about making this a
They are planning for the
traditional thing.
next year. The next year,
Yeah,
2024.
they're ready to go.
They're
That's
ready for
what's
the
up.
next cruise.
That's what's up.
Yeah, so we'll keep it going. But anyway, we had a really, really good time, but we're glad to be back, everybody. We definitely saw some things going on in the news. I mean, we were plugged in still. It's just been craziness. Now, listen, y'all. One thing that I got to start with is that, listen, we are under 2 weeks until election day. That doesn't mean that if you are in a place where early voting can take place, you do not have to wait until election day. Please go vote. Now, I am going to go on election day because, I work from home, so I can just kind of go in. And my spot where I go to vote is never really that busy because I'm in the country. So I can go in pretty quickly, which is what I'm going to do then. Because if for Concord, if you're going to go vote early, you got to go down to like the Board of Elections. There's not like a school or a post office or something that you can just slide in real quick. You got to go to the Board of Elections. So I just rather go to my little school down the street on election day. It's always a quick 5 minutes in and out, maybe 10. So we normally go first thing in the morning. You say something?
You're doing
Same thing with us.
Because I have to because of work and everything else, and plus coming back from vacation. So I actually got I had elected to get my mail-in vote. So I already voted and I mailed mine in.
Okay.
There you go.
You know what? I don't care which way you do it. I don't care whether you do it early. I don't care whether you vote on the day like me, my wife, and B gonna do. What all Mr. T and TBS care about is that you vote, period. Right. Please understand, we need to kill this noise, and especially in our community, in our Black and brown community, that our voice do not matter. That is a lie. If at any time your voice ever mattered, if you ever wanted to see the power and the strength behind your vote, it is the votes that we are doing, or we're going to be doing right now. It is not the vote for the president so much. That's a little different. But the vote that actually changes things, because it changes your local. This is the one that really, really matters.
Yep.
This is the one that really, really matters. And so if you have never gotten out to vote in a day of your life, or you think it's just a whole bunch of BS and all this other stuff and everybody lies, yes, so do you. So
I'm glad you said that.
So you cannot hit me with the whole
I said, I'm glad you said that. You took the words right out of my mouth. I was about to say the exact same thing.
Yeah. So you can't hit me with the whole, everybody lies, everybody just out for themselves. You know why they're in that position? Because you didn't.
Thank you.
Because you didn't.
Thank you.
Of course, it's just like talking to a car salesman or any other body that's trying to sell something. They're going to tell you things to appease you and to please your eardrums.
Right.
But the power is truly yours. Hence the reason why I love being an unaffiliate of anybody's party. Because
you're independent.
Because yes, ma'am. I'm not affiliate with nobody.
You're not affiliate anyone.
I'm not affiliate.
Independent, not Democrat, not Republican. Okay.
Exactly. So they don't. So whenever it comes to my vote, I get to hear both arguments. I get to look at both sides and everything, and it's like that. And I think honestly, in our community, and especially the way that we are, I would really advocate for all of our people to be non-affiliates, because here's the thing. Certain people out there already don't count our vote anyway.
Or they take our vote for granted.
Exactly. Absolutely. And that was my point. Thank you, B. Go ahead and pick up from there.
Well, whether you're unaffiliated or not, what I would encourage even more than just that is to be informed. Now, some people may call that being woke, and that's okay with me. I'd rather walk around woke, meaning my eyes are wide open, than closed and running into shit. That's always been a stupid
Yeah.
thing to me. Why being woke is a problem.
Yeah.
But be informed, learn about your candidates. As CJ said earlier, if the reason that you're not voting is because you're waiting for the perfect person, well, I guess you single, because I know damn sure your spouse ain't perfect.
Amen.
So if you can't even get a spouse that's perfect, why do you think that your elected officials should be as well? To me, that's just more chicken crap of you trying to find an excuse not to vote and not understanding that there are people in our recent past that bled, that freaking died for the opportunity, that walked miles upon miles, that were turned away, that were intimidated from voting, that were discouraged from voting. Hell, didn't have the right to vote.
Exactly.
Now, sometimes we make things so easy for people that they take it for granted. Just like we took Roe v. Wade for nearly 50 years for granted because we thought it was settled law. And even though people sat there and they had the bombings and the protests and things like that, oh, it'll never go away. It's always been there. That didn't age well now, did it?
No,
And
it
you know
didn't.
why it didn't age well? I don't really blame Republicans for Roe v. Wade being overturned. I blame a lot of us for sitting on the sidelines, assuming that just because you got it today, it would always be there.
Well, you know
Republicans
what?
do what
They did the
Republicans
same
don't
thing.
do.
They see, and here's the thing. Here is the thing. They did the same thing with like prayers in school and different things like that. You never know what you miss until it's gone. We've said that, but we've lost focus at the same time. Nobody outside of our generation have even uttered those words. The reason why is because they haven't truly been through anything. The way was already made for them.
Yeah.
They didn't have to sweat. They didn't have to bleed. They didn't have to stand. They didn't have to fight. They didn't have to do anything except for reap the benefits. That therefore they have no real appreciation for the empowerment that they do have.
Now, CJ,
AKA,
part of that problem, though, is the current state of affairs, which is why your vote is needed.
Exactly.
Because now we're voting for school boards, we're voting for secretaries of states, municipal judges, Supreme Court picks. I mean, when I say Supreme Court, not SCOTUS, but actual state Supreme Courts.
Exactly.
Because
That's
right
the one that
now,
counts.
the reason that a lot of kids don't know that is because they won't teach it in schools. They can't talk about certain things anymore because they're trying to only fill history with, we came to America, nobody was here. Then we found a couple of Indians, and we were really, really nice to them and even gave them their own plot of land. They're trying to revive the story. And there were some folks that came from Africa, but they were involuntary, and they were in involuntary servitude. They only want to say the word slavery. So a lot of this is being refashioned in a way where even though kids are being born into this age and era, they can't find out about history without going through a lot of different tasks like Google and stuff like that. Because when they go to school, depending on where you live, they don't want to teach it because then you'll become woke and then find out, like Ron DeSantis erroneously said the other day at his debate with Charlie Crist in Florida, that they want to teach our kids that America was founded on racism, and that's just not right, and that's wrong to say, and da 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 da. And it is actually the truth.
Right.
But they don't want to accept the fact that this country was not built on American pie and the American flag and all that stuff. It was built on racism. It was built on violence. And a lot of that violence and racism is still intact and in place today. This is how they got the country. This is how they think they need to keep the country, is with more racism and more violence.
And then on top of that, what it is that whenever I hear these people that's so afraid of, like, whenever when we talk about like this whole wokeism thing, is that the more you know, the more you grow,
Yeah.
and the more you grow, you need more space.
Yeah.
Okay, and what that means is that that's what really has uh let's just say the non-black and brown community shook,
Yeah.
because we all know the law of karma. But just like I've heard comedians say it, and I've even said it one time before, if you just concentrate on you, you wouldn't have to worry about anything turning back around and stuff on you, because you'll be so busy just living your life, it wouldn't matter. You wouldn't have to worry about these hands. You wouldn't have to worry about any vengeance or any of those things if you were living right from the very start.
Yeah.
Because you will reap what you put in. So if you are putting in, wickedness, that's what you're going to get paid. So
Yeah.
why are you so really shook? Why are you really shook? And like one of the more common defenses that I've heard was, that wasn't me, that was my grandmama and all this other stuff, or that was my granddad and all this stuff. Okay, then why does it bother you? If your grandmother and your father and stuff did they dirt and they had nothing to do with you, go on and live your life. Why are you so worried about trying to control the people of today, the people of
Pride.
now?
Pride.
Live your life.
Yeah.
And so what if you become
They want to whitewash their lineage, because nobody wants to admit that I came from a line of people that sat there and beat slaves, killed slaves, hung slaves, lynched people, red line, Jim Crow, and did all these things. No, everybody wanted to whitewash their past so it looks squeaky clean. The
right?
problem is you can do that, but you're lying.
Exactly.
And living with that, but for a lot of people, living with that lie is better than facing the truth.
But see,
Another thing I'll say too, CJ, is
you can
that you know
show
how
growth though. And see, that's the thing.
see,
You can
growth is being
show
woke.
growth.
Growth
You
is woke.
can take it and own it in such a manner. Say, for instance, if my dad was a killer, like a straight up serial killer or whatnot, well, I'm his son. Me by default, I'm not like just say a sociopathic killer. I would say yes, I do come from him, but I am this way. I I put my time into loving people and so forth and everything.
Yeah.
What's so hard about that?
Well,
So
because
what if you have a lineage
the
of people that
harm
hate?
is that there's a lot of, you're being rational. Most people are irrational, and they think that
Absolutely.
the problem is it's guilt by association. People
Yep.
look at who you are around, and they assume that's who you are,
The sins of the father?
Yeah.
or yeah, become the sins of the son,
Mhm.
or the sins of your past ancestors become. They look at it like that too, and nobody has ever said. And it's funny how. Well, I'll say this first, and then I'll go back into what I was really going to say.
Okay.
It's funny how, not funny, but in the slave times, one of the ways that they controlled slaves was you couldn't read or write.
Right.
Mhm.
They made sure you had no education. Even when you went to church, you couldn't read the Bible. They would
Someone
read
had to read it to you.
it to you and give you their interpretation of the Bible. And they
I'm
did that
glad you brought that up.
because they knew that the more, because I thought about that, CJ, when you said, the more you know, the more, you're able to do things. Well, that's the problem. And this is where this wokeness has intersected, and people, here's the problem with wokeness. The right always takes something that has one meaning and try to rebrand it into something else.
Right,
Woke
of course.
was never really a dirty word. They made it dirty. Same way as the slogan, defund the police wasn't dirty. In fact, it became their slogan when they realized that the cops weren't just going to defend them anymore.
Correct.
And then they started talking about defund the police too. But when the left would say defund the police. It was a dirty word. You're not back in the blue and everything else. Da 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 da. And it was never about that. But and then the other thing that I was going to say, as far as education goes, is that we really have to fight for being able to let teachers be teachers. You know, Glenn Youngkin led this thing in Virginia where he won heavily over the Democratic nominee. I can't think of his name right now, but he lost. But he kept trying to get parents to say, hey, they don't even want you to be involved in your kids' education, and they're grooming your kids and they're doing all these things. So a lot of what the right has been very good with is the fear that if you let them gain knowledge, if you let them learn, if you let them know things, they're going to turn on you and make you feel bad about being white. And you don't want to feel bad about being white, do you? I mean, it's great to be white, right? You don't want to feel bad or guilty about something that your ancestors did. They understand that you didn't do it, but they also understand that you don't want anybody to learn about it. You only want them to learn about the good things. You want them to learn about kittens and muffins and blueberry pie and baseball and all that kind of stuff. You don't want them to know that we sat there and ran genocide on the American Indians. You don't want them to know that we sat there and oppressed Black people for over 400 years. You don't want them to know that we're sitting there using our religious ideology to tell women what to do with their bodies. And you know what? On that whole thing about what to do with your bodies, I don't know if you guys saw this ad. I mean, not the ad, but the story about people in front of voting boxes in military gear with guns.
Yes, intimidating early voting. Yes.
Lori, did you notice that they were freely wearing masks and had no problem with it at all?
Oh yeah, not a problem at all.
Oh, and then when they were being recorded, because I remember there was a lady who actually had filmed it and was actually went over to one of the folks that were sitting in front of the early voting box, and they had an American flag over their license plate. And she was very polite and said, hello, good evening, this one, everything else. And they were wearing masks, and, you know, they didn't have to, you know, it wasn't because it was COVID, because, you know, they was trying to hide their face. But when they lifted the American flag to show a record of, I can get your license plate, because if you're trying to intimidate me as I'm dropping this off, they went after her.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was just weird that all this time their rights were being violated for being told to wear a mask because they can't breathe. They're breathing in their own oxygen and all this other stuff. Yet they were.
That's called bad breath.
Yeah, they were freely wearing masks. So I just thought that was interesting and everything. But, you know, back to the bigger point, guys, all of this, Brian, what does any of this have to do with voting? Well, it's here. Stop taking things for granted. Just because it's here today is no guarantee that in another 2 years or 4 years that you're going to have the ability to vote. Exactly. I know that sounds hyperbolic, but if I had told you 5 years ago that Roe v. Wade would be canceled out, you would have laughed at me ad nauseum and said, how? That's been around forever. It's been as long as I've been alive.
It's law. It's law.
And you have to understand that there are people that have been working on getting rid of that for 47, 48 years. Yep. And so you never take your rights for granted. Don't let somebody tell you when it's important for you to stand up for your rights. Your right to vote, your right for speech, your right to exist, your right for equality. Those are things, if those things aren't worth fighting for, what the hell is? If that ain't worth it, what is worth fighting for? Please tell me, because y'all will fight for some damn Yeezys. Y'all will fight for some damn Louis Vuittons. Y'all will fight for money. You'll fight for status. You'll fight to be able to be in this circle of influence. You'll fight for all these other things. But when it comes to your basic rights, excuse my French, you shit all over them.
Exactly.
You let
because
people, they don't even
number
have
one, they don't even know what they are.
They don't
9
even
times
have
out
to
of
take
10.
it from you. You willfully give it away.
Exactly.
And we willfully gave away a woman's right to choose. Now, listen, there may be a lot of y'all out there when I say that get upset. I got friends that say, well, I believe abortion is murder. That's fine. Then don't have one. That's the answer.
Please
The
understand
answer isn't because
that
I believe it's murder, then nobody gets to do it. That
right.
is your belief. That
See,
should not be somebody else's choice. Just because you believe in Jesus don't mean that everybody else should. You might want them to, and you may think, hey, wouldn't it be really cool if all of us were Christians and we love the Lord and sang, I love you, Lord. Well, yeah, that'd be pretty cool. But you can't turn that want and that desire into policy that affects individuals' lives. That's your preference. And I prefer women, but I can't tell another man that he can't like another man.
Yep.
I might not understand it. I might not even agree with it. I might not even like it. So you know what my remedy for that is?
Don't be that one.
Don't hump dudes. Don't be around other dudes that hump dudes. And let them do what they got to do. If
And
that
let them
really
live their life.
that much, but not sit there and make other people. There's a passage in the Bible that talks about not causing another brother to stumble. See, the problem is a lot of these folks cherry pick what they want to pull out the Bible. Other stuff, I don't want to go by that. There's another part that says doing to others as you would have them doing to you.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem is that if you do you really want me to exercise that part of the Bible on you the way that
Exactly.
you
Well, see, that's the whole. But see, now you falling back into what you were saying before, Brian. Is when it comes to cherry picking. That's why they didn't want for us to be educated.
correct.
Because coming up through now, being that I am a PK. For those of y'all don't know what a PK is, that's a preacher's kid. I've had the blessed life to be able to read, get taught, and understand truly freely without manipulation and different things like that. So I would have conversations with let's just say other certain believers in other ways, and they would truly fight against the way that I was raised up, right? And I was like, well, here's the thing. Here's where I stand. Somehow we all got educated with our belief system. So my thing is this right here. I'm not knocking you. You are not knocking me. And you are telling me that you got your education and it was received from a man. Guess what? So did I. But what we are not going to do is debate and fight, because my thing is, as long as you are trying to live right the best way that you can, I have that same right. That's called respect. That's called respect of persons, right?
And agree to disagree.
And that's agree to disagree. It's actually called freedom. See,
There
if you want to know, if you really want to know what it really all boils down to, and especially with these hard right people, freedom, freedom, freedom. Guess what? Just like you got the freedom to do something, the very opposite works that same way. And guess what it is called? That is also called freedom. Mm-hmm. So, like, for those ones that will sit up there and be like, I got the freedom of speech, religion, and guns and all stuff, and we also have the freedom not to do it. See, that's the problem with people that's trying to force their views and their practices on other people, is that you don't have to do what I do. That in itself is freedom.
And you know what, CJ, it's funny when you're sitting there trying to clutch your pearls and stand on a certain point and position, you better be ready to sit there and fully defend it. And I was listening to Marjorie Taylor Greene just yesterday, on a call-in talk show where this older lady
She's
was
exhausted.
giving her the business about abortion, and she challenged her on it. And she was an older lady, you could tell by her voice. And Marjorie Taylor Greene's words to her was, "Well, ma'am, it doesn't sound like you plan on doing any childbearing anytime soon," which basically made it sound to say, well, if you're not a person that's bearing children or the ability to bear children, then you have no say in this. And I'm sitting here going, well, there's a whole bunch of white men that's sitting there making up laws right now that ain't never gonna bear no children. So you got to be careful when you sitting there saying, well, if you ain't bearing children, then you really shouldn't be able to talk about abortion. Because last time I looked at Marjorie Taylor Greene, who was getting divorced from her husband, she don't look like no spring chicken either. Like she about to be bearing no children.
Exactly.
So she got no right to.
Mm.
And then, Lori, the other thing that she said that was funny is that she said, well, abortion is murder and I'm for life and da 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 da. And the lady said, well, then what about the 14-year-old girl that had that got raped? She doesn't get a say with her own body and da da da. And within literally 30 seconds, Marjorie Taylor Greene says this: well, anybody that sits there and rapes children should be put to death.
But you were for life, though. Because see, if
Right.
you were for life,
You're for life.
see, hold on.
If you're gonna say you pro-life now, you gotta be pro-life.
Now see, that's the Dalai Lama of everything, right? I know, I said it on purpose. That is your Dalai Lama, period, for people that are pro-life. If you were for life, you are for life, period. Okay, it ain't no well because
but that's cherry picking which lives I want to be for.
You cannot, in the words of my brother just said, and I'm using these country terms, you cannot cherry pick through what you want out of it or not. You either all the way in it or you're not.
And
even as a go ahead, babe. Go ahead, sis.
And during this conversation, and I can't think about that gentleman's name, but I just keep hearing the song talking about try Jesus.
That's really oh my God, now you don't make me forget him.
Whenever I see any of these memes or something, or especially when someone comes to try to challenge you and you get hands and then they look all surprised that somebody that you just got punched out. Because again, you thought I was going to just not. So again, the song, and I can't think of his name, but I just keep saying, try Jesus.
I actually follow him in my YouTube, and you absolutely.
Don't try me.
Oh yeah, because I throw hands. That's right.
That's right.
Please understand that. Please understand.
Absolutely.
In the words of Eminem,
stop on that, but
yeah.
In the words of Eminem, I like violence.
Yeah, so you know, it's that pro stance, but you know, again with the voting, and I'll just close it with this so I can segue into this other topic. It's all, you know, when we're sitting there and coming up with all the reasons not to vote, understand, guys, voting is not an end, it's a beginning.
Thank you.
Meaning that it's not just something you do and then there's nothing required of you after that.
Mm-hmm.
What's required of you after that is for you to then hold those people that you voted for. And CJ, and I bring this up because CJ uses this in his Elephants Exposed, the word accountable. You're holding them accountable. Accountability. Now listen, I'm segueing into another conversation about accountability because I've said this to people plenty of times. Just because you can doesn't mean that you should do.
Exactly.
Because there are consequences attached to everything. So when you have enough hubris to say, I can say anti-Semitic shit and people can't drop me.
Bye-bye.
Sometimes stuff don't age well, bro.
Bye-bye.
Sometimes stuff don't age well. And you got the right to say whatever ignorant stuff you want to say. But understand, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. And sometimes, like my dad used to say, don't write no checks with your mouth that your ass can't cash.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Now, Kanye just had to cash a real big one because he got dropped from being a billionaire to simply a millionaire because he can't keep his mouth shut and he can't let his anti-Semitism sit there. So the funny thing, not the funny thing, but Adidas took a while to think about whether they were going to let him go because they're going to lose close to $250 million removing themselves away from Kanye. And that's a lot of money. But they realized that, hey, you know what? This is also the Titanic. The Titanic was an expensive boat, but it was destined to go into the water. So it didn't matter how much it cost. If we kept ourselves hooked to this fool, we must be ready to go down with the ship.
Right.
And they ain't singing those songs as the ship is going down.
And the band plays as the ship
the band keeps on playing as we keep going further into the water.
Man.
Yeah, bro, that's not happening. So they finally cut bait, but they weren't the only ones. I wanted to tell y'all, because I know y'all have heard about his representatives at CAA cutting him, Balenciaga cutting him, Gap cutting him. But there were also some other ones that cut him too in the last week that I found very, very interesting, such as Madame Tussauds canceled out his wax figure in London. So that's gone. Peloton banned his music from being played on Pelotons.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't know that one. TJX, which runs TJ Maxx, Marshalls, and Home Goods, will not sell any of his stuff anymore. Christie's is getting rid of his Nike Air Yeezys. Foot Locker has pulled all of his shoes off the shelf. They're in the back right now until further notice.
Wow.
We know what Adidas did. Gap, we know what they did. Def Jam Records let him go. Donda Sports, his sports organization, has lost two top clients, one being number 99 for the LA Rams, one Mr. Aaron Donald. If you know anything about football, that's a bad brother.
Yeah, he's bad. He's a bad brother.
One of the players for the Boston Celtics, Jalen, I think it's Jalen Brown. He just cut representation with Donda Sports too. So he was doing sports agency, and he lost that too. So a lot of this stuff, Vogue, MRC Entertainment, they've cut ties with him. JP Morgan Chase has cut ties with him. Of course, I talked about CAA cutting ties with him. So yeah, you can say a lot of anti-Semitic stuff, but
it's not going to come with
bro.
Right.
They're gonna cut you. And we talk about cancel culture. Is it a real thing? It absolutely is. And not, again, just like being woke, not all cancel culture is bad. Sometimes you need to sit there and do that.
Right.
When people say some of the most heinous things. Now, this is the part that I was gonna throw at y'all for the next 5 minutes, though. It's funny how a lot of folks rallied around canceling Kanye for saying anti-Semitic stuff. But when Kanye was saying stuff like slaves chose to be enslaved, I ain't hear a damn thing.
I'm glad you brought that up, my brother.
I ain't hear nothing. When people say stuff,
I have never.
When Colin Kaepernick takes a knee because of racial injustice, everybody's offended because he took a knee, but he's standing up for injustice of black folks getting killed and murdered at the hand of police, and that's a problem. Kanye say something about going DEFCON 3 on
Jewish people,
and which is terrible, and it should be condemned. I'm not saying that y'all don't come at me because I will come at you back. I'm not saying that that he should do that. That is totally wrong. But it's kind of weird how when folks say anti-black stuff, they ain't
nobody mumbles a word.
And cancel, going from billionaire to millionaire, losing representations, losing lawyers, their wives coming out making ex-wives coming out making statements against them. You don't hear none of that.
I'm gonna tell you why. I know why.
Go for it.
Brace yourself.
I'm sitting down. I'm holding on to my chair.
We have yet to get white man's validation that we are actually worth something.
I agree. You know why I agree with that? And he took a mic drop. I agree with that because Kanye, in his own mouth, sat there and said that his goal was to be more like the powerful, rich white man.
Yeah.
He says, and I'm on that track.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at him like, what is wrong with you? You have really lost your damn mind. When you sit there and you say that the only way for me to be recognized is to be more like the rich, powerful white guy, you are denying the fact that uh, that there is any validity in being black.
Exactly.
Like you have to do things a certain way to be recognized, and that is part of the problem. So I'm going to say this, and it may not be popular, but it's my show. I don't care. If you are still supporting Kanye, if you walking around with a pair of Yeezys, I hope your feet fall out of them. If you are sitting there defending this man, and this is why I say this. After Kanye said this, and I always talk about accountability as well, CJ. When you
Always.
say these things and you have a platform like that, and now people are driving around in California on the expressway and see people hanging banners talking about Kanye was right about the Jews.
Yeah. Oh my
Your
God.
influence to people, you could possibly be inciting more violence at synagogues and other places of worship
Yeah.
because of your
Now watch
food.
what they do to him, though, B. But watch what they do to him. And see, this is how corporate America is going to remind Kanye that as much as you want to be me, you can't be me.
You ain't
And
me.
this is what I mean. The reason why corporate America is going to remind him that he is a Negro,
Hmm.
okay, is for the simple fact he is black. Had Kanye been white, it would have been second chance after second chance. He wasn't right. He was off his meds. They
Yeah,
will be
he been
excusing
Mel
all
Gibson.
kinds of stuff. They will be begging and pleading for the
Yeah.
boycott to be lifted, sanction them, do whatever. But please don't let the man go. You will see all
Well,
kinds of graces and mercies.
well,
But
now,
they
but
are going to remind Kanye
yes.
that as much as turbulence as you cause in the social world, you are still black.
Yep,
And
that's true.
we're going to R. Kelly and Bill Cosby you to death.
Oh, okay. I mean, I'm with you, bro. I'm with you. You know, they're gonna say, look, you're not Mel Gibson. we rehab Mel. We brought Mel back. You know, you're not Roseanne Barr. You're not Donald Trump, because Donald Trump has said some crazy anti-Semitic stuff in front of Jewish people at a stump speech where he's talking about we're all negotiators.
I will never forget the way
What?
that I will never forget how 45 acknowledged his black voters. I will never forget this. It was at one of his rallies, right?
Yep.
And the one or two that was just like in his viewpoint, he goes, "There's my blacks right there. There's my blacks."
The two.
The two.
Two.
First of all, that was ownership.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He didn't say, like, those are my supporters, those are my constituents. He didn't say that. He said, those are there's my blacks right there.
Yeah.
That phrase within itself should have turned every black soul off. But I think
oh no,
so
they got
ignorant.
paid. The one standing in the rally, they was paid something. But for him to
Our
put on
people
that
are so
T-shirt.
ignorant into following anything. We are so sheep-minded.
Well,
Because
if you think about it, how many of us followed R. Kelly, even though we knew he was pissing on people?
yeah.
Nick Cannon
Not really. Yes and no.
Nick Cannon got a pass.
Yeah, that's why I said yes and no. No, because what you're talking about is whenever
12.
he was saying that.
How did Nick Cannon get a pass?
Because what he said, it really wasn't anti-Semitic.
He lost his show. How did he get a pass? They took his show from him.
Yeah. So that wasn't a pass.
How did he get a pass?
He didn't.
They distanced themselves just like that. Where was the pass?
But he still got his other show.
Right, and that's the only thing that kept him afloat, Ma. That's the only thing that kept him afloat.
Yeah, no, I mean, no, he caught hell for that.
He
Anytime
did.
you say something anti-Semitic, now, like I said, you can call other black folks N-words, this, that, and the other. And as long as you got Candace Owens out there disparaging other African Americans, they love that. They'll eat off that all day long.
Exactly.
She'll be invited to Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, Laura Ingraham, Judge Janine, the little traitor. Now again, Harris Faulkner
God, you know them all, don't you?
on Fox News. Yeah, and that's the black girl.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so they'll have now, because now Kanye has made it clear that he doesn't like American Jewish people. And
He's gonna be a commentator on Fox News.
Huh?
He's gonna be a commentator on Fox News. I promise you.
Who gonna be one?
Kanye.
He'll fit right in, and they'll still be sitting there talking about they're a real news show, a news organization. But anyway, so it's just kind of funny now. Kanye's a celebrity on Tucker and stuff like that because he's sitting there saying those things. I just think it's kind of crazy that when anti-black things get said,
yeah,
the outrage isn't anywhere. Like, you heard all the different companies that I read off that immediately cut ties with Kanye. If Kanye had said something about black folks in that same tone, he wouldn't have lost $1.
Exactly.
And that's a problem. That's a problem. Again, we as a community have to demand more because we haven't come together as a community to say, you know what, that stuff stops today. We got to stop that. Speaking about other black folks that are being used as pawns for the right, good old Herschel Walker, after having Tom Cotton and who else came down and gave him some support? They came down and supported him. Now Herschel has had another female say that yes, he pressured me into having an abortion too. This time,
and she is a Trump supporter. In her statement with Gloria Allred, she basically said to all these people who feel like she's a Republican ploy that she was a Trump voter and she voted for Trump twice.
Wow.
And that the only reason that she came forward is that she saw the way Herschel was trying to discredit the first person by even saying to the point that it couldn't have been him because he doesn't sign anything with just the letter H. And she's like, whoa, wait a minute. You used to send me stuff all the time with just the letter H on it. And I suspect, because I suspect that the only time Herschel Walker knows how to spell his name is when he sees it on one of them campaign banners.
Wow.
That's probably why he stops with the H, because they told him, sound it out, Herschel.
Wow.
Is that an H, Ma? That's very good. And that's as far as he got.
Brian,
he thought the next letter was a U. No, Herschel, it's an E. But my badge say that it's a U. Stop it.
No, stop it. Did you happen to see they actually had a story about Herschel Walker's hometown in Georgia.
That
he brings up all the time.
People and the voting and people that live in that county, and that they were, even though some of them said on TV that he was not fit and that it's not right for him to run, they're gonna still vote for him because
just simply because he's Herschel. And see, that's
Herschel Walker.
Listen, I think
and he bought the football field for the school and everything else. But the black people that were on that who were making the commentary it was very interesting. Very interesting.
I forgot who was the first celebrity person to ever take like a political office, but I remember whenever they did that, they got that position just simply off the fact that they were a celebrity, not because of the experience and
Arnold
office, not
Jesse
because
Ventura,
they studied for it.
Al Franken.
I want to say yeah, and I was just like, how do we even get there? Like, because I remember in school, whenever I was sort of interested in politics and stuff, and I was like, what does it take to become a president? What does it take to become a governor, a mayor, hell, even an alderman?
Well, normally it takes money because money gives you something called visibility. Well, the thing is that when you're a celebrity and people see you on TV all the time, you don't have to put up as much money capital because you've been on TV enough. And when people see you on TV all the time, they feel a certain level that they feel like they know you. Yeah. Oh, I know him. I always see him on TV.
And what they forget is that you're falling in love with the character and not the person.
Exactly, because they think that the two are mutually exclusive with each other. That they're the exact same thing. Not knowing that, hey, I may play this character on TV, but in real life, I'm a totally different kind of person.
Yeah.
And they fall in love with the illusion, and the depth and everything else doesn't even matter anymore because my mind is made up. I know this person. When I see Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's the Terminator. The Terminator is my governor, and he's going to terminate people. Bro, that's a damn movie.
Ventura. Ventura. He was one of the first ones too, right?
Yeah, Jesse.
Yeah, Jesse Ventura.
Jesse.
Well, I mean, if he can sit there and jump off a rope and body slam people, hell,
he can body slam these laws.
He can body slam those Democrats. You know, but see, when you talk about sheepishness, that's kind of that where I've seen you long enough where I will just follow you wherever you go. Yeah. Because I've seen you enough. Now, CJ may have better policies, he may have better morals, but I don't know nothing about CJ, and I don't care to know nothing about him because he's going against the Terminator, and the Terminator's going to terminate those Democrats. Just like he did in the movies.
Kind of like old girl on Color Purple.
Ronald Reagan. The great one.
You kind of reminded me about the lady that was being chauffeured around by Sophia. I don't know him. I don't know him either. like, come on, man.
That's a meme. That's a good meme.
I don't know him.
Yeah. Yeah.
My mind went straight there. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, but that's the tribalism that we have a lot of times is built around people that you know, people that look like you and things like that. And it was funny, like white folks been doing that for years, but as soon as Obama came around, they were like, "You mean you're gonna vote for him just because he's black?"
Follow my head.
Have y'all seen the Supreme Court?
Well, and Sarah Parker made a comment and talked about Ronald Reagan, which is adding to the point of for recognition. He was in the movies.
Yeah, and your celebrity will help you because your name recognition is already there. You don't have to introduce yourself to people because you've already spent. Al Franken. Who didn't know Al Franken from Stewart on SNL and his skits and stuff like that? You don't mean to think that didn't help him get into the Minnesota Senate? I mean, the state senator from Minnesota? Of course it did. Of course it did. That's why a lot of times when you see people now like Ron DeSantis, or you see Ted Cruz, or you see Tom Cotton, or you see any of these folks, and they do all of these grandstanding things, they're doing that because it gives them exposure that later they can use for presidential runs. That's why they do that.
Talking about Ted Cruz, I think it was the best meme is when he was attending the Yankee game and he got cursed out in the middle of the stand by some fans.
But see, here's the problem, Lori.
I heard about that.
It's hard to shame people that have no shame.
Right.
And listen,
if
Donald Trump can call your wife ugly, can talk about your daddy killing JFK, and then in the next clip we see you phone banking for Donald Trump. You ain't got no shame. So I appreciate my Yankee fans at Yankee Stadium. They gave him a very warm reception, even though we got swept out of Houston.
Welcome to the Bronx.
Because the Bronx did what the Bronx does. I mean, they didn't do that because he was Ted Cruz. They did that because he don't belong there. And anybody that doesn't belong there will get the exact same welcome at Yankee Stadium.
Exactly.
Come in there with a Red Sox jersey and see what happened to you. For real. Shoot, I don't even know if you come in there with a Dodgers jersey.
Wow.
I
They
did.
ain't having it. They ain't having it.
Oh no, that wasn't. No,
Yeah,
no,
don't do that.
no,
Don't do that.
no,
They
no.
still a little bitter about that whole Brooklyn thing. Don't do that. But so Ted Cruz just shows up and they're screaming out, "Hey, remember when Trump called your wife ugly?" And even Anna Navarro, he sat there and came on The View the other day, and she basically said, "How do you get over the fact that Trump did this and did that and did that? Were you lying then or are you lying now?" And he's like, "Well, that's a loaded question." And then he sat there and said, "Well, we all just knew Donald was joking. Heidi laughed at it. My dad laughed at it. Ha 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 ha." He has no shame.
That mug
And
was.
you can't shame people like that. So
You can't.
unfortunately, yes, you got to remind people that these folks are two-faced and will do anything to stay in power. But the reason that they can do that is because they can't be shamed. The same way Lindsey Graham can't be shamed for in one breath saying, "Hey, if there's an open seat on the Supreme Court and it's an election year, I'm going to let the people decide who the next president is." And Amy Coney Barrett gets confirmed 10 days before an election. You can't shame these people. You can't shame Mitch McConnell to say, "Hey, the reason that we didn't let Merrick Garland come in is because it was an election year." But hello, Brett Kavanaugh. Hello, all these other people that he sat there and let slide on in.
Right.
You can't shame these people because they have no shame. You can't remind them of their hypocrisy enough because it's never going to make them go, "You know what? You're right. I did say that before. What was I thinking? I'm so sorry." Let democracy rule.
And that's where the Democrats seem like they haven't learned their lesson ever at.
Well,
And they
see,
and they and,
I'm
they, and it seems like they
confused with
can't.
that. I hear you, but I'm confused because then when they do try to stand up for themselves and show some backbone, they get criticized for it. But then when they don't do anything, then they're called weak and feckless. And I'm
Yes.
like, okay, y'all, do you want them to fight or not? When they sat there and said, "Hey, we're going to pour election money into making sure that the worst Republican candidate wins so we can beat them hands down," oh, that money would have been better served supporting other Democrats. Do you want them to win or not?
Right.
One minute you say you do, then they do something that they think strategically will give them an advantage, and you crap all over them.
Yeah.
You want them to win or not?
Yeah. We
Y'all
we,
confused.
we could say this. The social world is feckless at best. I mean, and that's just and that's just how people are. I mean, depending on what the weather is, I mean, that's just what they
That's
go
the
with.
problem.
You
That is the
know,
problem.
we're praising you one moment and we're tearing you down the next.
Yeah, and you know, Republicans do this very well. You know, first of all, Joe Biden is incapacitated. He's sleepy. He doesn't know where he is. He doesn't know what day it is. He can barely move. People have to walk him around the places, but yet he's responsible for gas prices, inflation, supply chain issues, all
My
these
high blood
things he's
pressure.
responsible for. And I'm like, damn, and he can do all of that incapacitated?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
How? It ain't got to make sense, right?
No, it don't.
And that's the thing. They just give people all these different things. It's kind of like when Trump came out with the whole thing like, "Well, the boxes weren't there. They planted them there." No, they're not planted because I sat there and declassified them. Wait a minute, you declassified something that was planted? Yeah. Don't listen to that part. And then, you know, he kept going in all these different things and you going, but if it's this, it can't be that. And if it's that, it can't be
Listen.
this.
To me, that was just pure entertainment.
It's like,
I think I watched an hour of just him
and he got Fox News and Knox because they're following every explanation he gives. And
they are trying their best.
I'm
They
like,
are
but
trying
y'all
their
are sitting
best.
there tying yourselves in knots because this man is unbalanced. You're following a fool.
And they know this.
And
Now
but
they will.
willfully.
Now they will go down with the ship
Oh yeah.
because he's not Kanye.
Nah.
There we keep digging at Kanye.
Man,
And I'm so torn because I do like Cardi B's song "Hot Shit" with Lil Durk, and it has Ye at the end on the last part of the hook.
messed up the song. I can't even hear it now, and I am a
It's a really good
Cardi B
song.
fan.
It's a really good song, but yeah,
God knows I am.
Yeah,
Cardi. No,
I love me
but,
some Cardi.
I can't listen to that song.
Yeah, and Cardi, if you're listening, I know you are. I knew that was coming up as soon as
yeah.
So it is time for our favorite section called "What I Don't Like Is." Lori, what don't you like?
What I don't like is when Brian Parker be trying to on the low talking about call me. That's just not no.
Brian, you do know you're on a public social media platform.
Ask him to say call me. Just be real about it. Don't be trying to fake the funk. Just be real. That's what I don't like.
What you shouldn't like is that I told her to call me, but I didn't have to give her the number.
Because
are you still trying to give? And again, what I don't like when Brian be trying to do that fake Jedi mind trick, it ain't working. It don't work. I got Rays up in here, and I'll stop
it. Keep going, sis. Keep going.
Busted.
Man. But you know what though, man?
What?
Because I do a lot of traveling. Mine is pretty much always going to be centered around these non-drivers that claim to be drivers out here.
Especially as you're traveling in this one on 85 and you be left.
Listen, okay. So I got one more. That driver. We're at a 4-way intersection. I can almost get it out. Now, you have to go straight. Okay. And other people have protected turns. But here's the thing. The people that are going to go straight are going to go first. All right. Then if the ones that are making turns with it left or right, then they'll go following, considering that they don't want to get hit head on. But here's my thing. When you are making a left-hand turn and there is no traffic, none. Why aren't you pulling your car up to the intersection?
Whoa.
And then make your left? You are literally waiting for the light to turn red. Then you want to take off when you could have just simply pulled up, got your car in the position, maybe 2 or 3 of y'all. But ain't no traffic coming. And everybody would just make their safe left turn just as smooth. Where do these people come from?
I just wanted to add on the driving thing. What I don't like is, why are you braking on green? When there's a clear path of green, why, as we're getting here, you got to think about, I need to put my foot on the gas. Can somebody explain that to me? Please do.
Yeah, see, because green means put your foot on the brake, and when the light is about to turn red, it means
go
down on the gas as hard as you can.
Right. Oh, I got one more. We at the red light. We hit the red light. I hate these drivers. And if I had the time to follow your ass home and shoot you, I would.
Damn.
Okay.
I hate these drivers.
The views expressed on this segment do not reflect those of Empowered TV Network. CEO
I like violence.
Parker, Lori Parker, or any of our subsidiaries, Roku TV and Amazon Fire TV. I'm sorry, go ahead, CJ. You were saying? God damn.
This is who said it. I hate you. Okay? We're at a red light. You hit your gas like you about to take off down the street like you on a drag strip. But then suddenly you hit your brakes. What is that crap for?
You mean they're in a rush to go nowhere, so they zip in front of you and stop?
Like they'll take off and then they'll just like
stop.
Whoa! And I'm like, inches away from hitting them because I'm thinking, okay, well, you saw the green, you about to go. But they take off so hard.
Hey,
Like they
have you ever seen the ones that speed out in front of you only to go about 600 more feet and then break and turn into somewhere else?
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Or because they thought about it. Oops, I need to go right. I need to go right.
But they literally risk getting rear-ended just to go another 600 feet and turn. Like, you should have just waited for me to go by and you could have eased on out. And you're only going like 2 rock throws down the street.
I got one more.
All right.
I'm going down Albemarle Road. All right. I don't know how well y'all know Albemarle.
Very.
Okay.
He does.
So I'm in between.
Everybody on Albemarle Road probably don't have no license, but go ahead.
You sound like Cat. All right. So I'm going down Albemarle Road, going towards the QT. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm leaving Chick-fil-A. The cars that are coming out from my right, they take the chance of cutting me off.
Mm-hmm.
And not only do they cut me off, they want to stay in my lane that I'm already traveling in. And it doesn't matter whether it's the left or the right. I don't know what people are thinking whenever they do stuff like this.
They don't.
There's absolutely nobody behind me. Nobody.
Yep.
I'm dead.
Mama, you need to get off the road anyway.
I'm
dead.
I'm dead.
So seriously, like, what the heck are these people thinking about? Like, I'm literally gonna pass you in like 2.5 seconds. Mm-hmm. So you couldn't wait on the non-traffic behind me. You just had to take off, cut me off, and not only do you cut me off, not only do you cut me short, but then you stay in the lane that I'm traveling in.
Yes.
Those are the ones that I'm gonna follow home one day, B.
All right. So, you know what I don't like? This is my cruise edition. What I don't like. When you're on a cruise and you're going to the Bahamas, Grand Turks, Dominican, your life can't be that bad. And if it is, it'll be bad when you get back. So while you're on that cruise, why are you being such an ass to the people to make your life so much better than it normally is? I saw people that, as people were serving them, couldn't press their lips apart to say thank you.
Oh, wow.
Well, I don't like people that are so damn entitled, self-centered, that think they are the center of the freaking universe.
Yep.
That when people are sitting there serving you, you can't even say
thank you.
Thank you.
Wow.
And that is, to me, a dichotomy of a lot of things that's wrong in this world is that we can't be humble enough a lot of times to appreciate the fact that people are doing things to make our lives better. Now, some people could sit there and take it as, well, Brian, what are you talking about? That's what they're supposed to do. They're doing their job. They're there to serve me. Yes, ass, they are. But it doesn't mean that they're not people. It doesn't mean that they don't have families. But instead of being with their families, they're making sure that you and yours are having the time of your life. Recognize that those are people serving you, and put your lips apart enough to say thank you. And here's another idea with that. Actually mean it.
Yeah.
So that was my biggest take on the cruise. And I told Lori, I said, it's just kind of funny to watch people as we go through line, and Lori, so yes, ma'am, and yes, sir, and this and that and the other. You can tell people that got good upbringing and stuff like that. To me, it's natural. I just say it. But
it's natural with me, man.
But for a lot of people, you really see it, and it's so bad because these were grown-ups with kids a lot of times, and the kids are going to become mom and dad one day and be just as self-centered and entitled as mom and dad were. Hopefully not, but we're not giving them a lot of good examples when we do that. Please make sure that you're showing your kids the best of what we can be as people, especially when we have other people doing things for us. And on the final thought, because I know I'm a minute over, Lori, I get it. I know you're ready to hit the button.
No, I wasn't ready to hit the button. I just was, it's not that. You can keep on going.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
All right, then.
Get back.
Final thought. Let me get comfortable. Final thought is this, y'all. If you didn't hear anything else in this show today, the one thing that I want you to take away is, seriously, y'all, I don't care who it is, make sure you vote. Your vote is your way of letting the politicians that you elect know that they need to be more beholden to you than to any lobbyist, any sect, any organization out there. They need to respect your will, the will of the people. As they always like to quote pieces of the Constitution, this is by the people, for the people. You are the people.
Please believe
there is no reasons that midterm voter turnouts should be under 50%. If you can't get that Tuesday off, try to do early voting. And do me one other favor, y'all. Make sure that you're letting other people and reminding other people, even if you got to drag them to the polls. Hey, I need you to come with me to vote. Act like you need help voting your damn self. Say, I get confused. Can you come with me? And they don't even know that, you can't go in the booth together. But don't tell them that. Just bring them. Right. Bring somebody to the polls. If they can't make it, make sure that you're requesting absentee ballots, if that is permissible where you are. But whatever you do, y'all, like Obama used to say, don't boo, vote. If you ain't willing to vote about it, I don't want to hear you crying about inflation. I don't want to hear you crying about gas prices. I don't want to hear you cry about housing is getting out of control with and no rent controls and stuff like that.
Our justice system.
Don't complain about none of that. If you ain't willing to put no skin in the game when the game is being played, sit your ass on the bleachers and keep your mouth shut.
Don't even come to the stadium.
Because you don't even come to the stadium, right? Because you forfeited. You forfeited your right to complain when you didn't even think it was worthy enough to vote about.
Exactly.
You have the choice in your hands who you vote for, whether you believe that or not. You do. Make sure whatever you do, you get out and you vote. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank my co-host Lolo and Mr. TNTBS CJ Jones for joining us. Make sure y'all catch out his show on YouTube under CJ Jones Elephants Exposed, and we will see y'all again next week. Be easy.
This is ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it.
And it's a ticket talking Mazda for the biggest. That's a comma and a comma and a comma. Gotta get it.